Hey, I think we're live. How you going, everyone? Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're from. And welcome to another Live and Real with Scotty Schindler and Terry Bean, and this time, Janet E. Johnson. So it's going to be an awesome session. Last week, we did the first system in the book, The 5 Systems of Successful People. We did business judo. And this week, Terry said we have to get Janet on to talk about time duplication. So I'm so excited, right? All right, so Terry, over to you, mate. I'll let you do some introductions and let's get started on time duplication.
This is going to be a fun time, Scotty. Janet and I have been doing a podcast together since 2015. And it's fun because she started this show a year before I got on. So I got to be a guest on her show, but she's never been a guest on my show before. So we're kind of switching seats a little bit. And I'm looking forward to this. So by way of proper introduction, Janet E. Johnson has been working the internet for 20 years plus. She started doing some online selling way back in the day, learned enough about Google to help that business that she decided to take Google ads on and do some SEO work for clients. Then Facebook came out and the advertising for that was kind of hot. So she said, you know what? Enough of this Google stuff. They change their algorithm. They change the rules all the time. I'm going to get into Facebook. And then Instagram came out. So she started doing Instagram and Facebook ads. And she got so busy and spent so much time doing it. She's like, I should build some courses around this. So now she's got courses teaching you how to build your own Facebook ads and your own Instagram ads. She's got a mastermind group for the same purpose. And for the right clients and the lucky people that want her work for them, she does a heck of a lot of consulting. Added bonus, and I know when you look at both of us, you're not going to believe this, but we graduated high school together. We're friends from way back in the day. I've known Janet since we were in the 9th grade. I must be a lot older. I must have gotten held back a whole bunch of times. But allow me to properly
thing.
there. You like it? It's looking good today. I got my shine ready. Let me introduce Janet E. Johnson, where on our podcast, I have to come up with an E word every time. Today, I don't have to do that at all. Hi, Janet.
You just said one. You said every, so every time. So you already covered it. Yeah, but that's awesome. No, thank you so much for having me. This will be fun. This will definitely be fun. I like the topic. I love the topic.
This is a fun time. Well, and that's what, and when I said to Scotty, he's like, hey, we're looking at doing these shows, time duplication. I was like, well, Janet's been working with VAs as long as most anybody I know, and she's got a great system for taking care of them. So we can talk about that, right? So that's time duplication. How do you get more work done in the same amount of time? Find other people to do the work, right? So that's one session. You repurpose content all the time, right? I don't even think you sit down and make content if you're not thinking about how can I leverage this in 4 or 5 or 40 different ways. So that's another area. And then we'll talk a little bit about process automation, how you take those mundane tasks and automate them so you're not the one doing them. So is there an area that you'd like to start with, Janet E. Johnson? What makes the most sense for you?
Well, I think, starting with the first one you just mentioned, we'll go ahead and start with that. Yeah, I mean, it was, honestly, it was back before Canva. How long's Canva been around? I think people know what Canva is, canva.com. And before Canva was graphic design, work. And I thought, I don't want to learn this stuff. I just don't want to learn it. But I knew I needed to do a lot of graphics for social media and, everything that I was doing on the internet. So I decided to delve into the world of figuring out how to hire somebody in the Philippines. And somehow I ran across something, and I believe Carlos, my graphic designer, has now been with me 12 or 13 years. So it's been a long time. And I always mention Carlos because when we do a podcast, all I have to do, he's gotten so good and learned my brand so well, I just have to send him a title. And boom, that graphic is finished. It's done. there's not one thing I tell him. I mean, once in a while, like one time my head was cut out really oddly, and I'm like, can we fix that? But other than that, it's like he's perfection with his graphics. And it's because over time he learned that, but I didn't have to learn that myself. And that was one thing. Now, granted, yeah, the Canva world came along, and of course, we even have a membership to that as well. But the bottom line is, before that came along, that was, why we brought him on board. And then the second, so hiring in the Philippines is very, it's something that, I mean, I've thought about. I could practically teach it now. But the second person that I brought on board, I brought on many, and there are a few, if you don't know what you're doing, don't work. And you've been through that with me as well, Terry. But the bottom line is, I typically learn everything that I have them do. So that's one thing. It does take more time on the front end, but the bottom line, on the back end, it saves you tons and hours and hours and years of your life practically. So that's one of the things that, like the second one I brought on board, as you know, we have the podcast together, but now I learned every piece of how to do a podcast. I know how to edit it. I know how to write the blog post for it. So I taught her every single thing. And now what do? We give her the title and give her the recording, and that's it.
That's it. So, just by way of proper introduction, Janet and I do this thing called Business Growth Time, right? Where we're interviewing thought leaders or just each other. Again, Janet's got that online marketing space, especially Facebook and Instagram, and I'm coming to it from the world of business networking and LinkedIn. So we kind of meet in the middle there. But if you want to go check out Carlos's work or see what kind of topics and the guests we've had, you can go to Instagram and search out Business Growth Time, and you can see all the cool imagery that he's done. And you can follow that over the YouTube and see all the great write-ups that Joanne, her other VA that she mentioned, has done. And you're so right about the idea that if you don't learn the process first, it's so hard to manage it. So did you learn that fact by making the mistake of just saying, here, go do this? Or did you just know that because, at your heart, you're a teacher and you know better?
Yeah, I don't know. I knew, to be honest, in the beginning, I was more cheap. So I knew I wanted to hire like a low end, like I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the VA. So I thought, okay, if I just hire a regular VA that doesn't know this stuff, I'll train them and figure it out, And I also, but now that I do everything that way, and it's kind of hard. So now I have a good enough person. I have another, I don't even call her a VA because she helps me with Facebook ads, but kind of a VA with Facebook ads. But she's gotten so good that I'll go figure this out now. And she goes and figures it out. So it depends on your VA or who's working for you. It really does. I mean, because now, so she's doing, and I shouldn't say this out loud, but she's doing some of the Google ad stuff now, because we're getting into Google ads, TikTok ads as well. And I have to have her create videos for me to show me how she's doing it, because I don't know how. So, I mean, it's now going the opposite direction, which is crazy. But I love it because, you teach them, but they get so smart, they can they can outperform you, which is even better.
That's brilliant. I absolutely love that. So do you use like Fiverr or Upwork to find them initially? I know those are great services to find folks, or do you get recommendations from people you've already used? How do you find the people, Janet? Where do you start?
I've tried, those are freelancers. So there are different levels, and freelancers are great. I mean, I do use Upwork. Currently, I have a bookkeeper on Upwork. I have somebody that helps me with my Kartra optimization on Upwork. So those are some things, but I find if I want somebody long-term, full-time, and the people that work for me have stuck. I mean, they stick for a long time because I treat them very well. And they, we have a mutual respect for each other. So the bottom line is that is more found on onlinejobs.ph. So that's where you can hire people to work for you full time. Now, I have people that live in the United States as well that work for me, but these are like more the VAs and that work with me as well. So, but they're more than VAs, I would say. They each have their niche too. Like Joanne she has all my social media postings. Like I don't do any of that myself, and that's why I've had a hard time getting into reels, because I'm like, wait, we can't schedule reels, and I don't even post my own content. So hate to say it, but it's something that she's taken on. But now guess what? She has my login to Instagram, and she's going to post all those for me and get in there because I trust her, so you build that trust. So I don't do most of my own, but I create my own content and then I hand it off. So it's me on video, it's me doing the content, but then I hand it off to somebody else so she has that niche, and she has the podcast niche, and she helps me with blogging niche. I taught her all about blogging and that. So that's her niche. Carlos, he's only graphics. And then the other gal, JC, she's only helping me with the pay-per-click stuff, the ads. So.
And you use all of these people for your own brand, your JanityJohnson.com website and the rest, right? The social media that goes to that. But you're also using them for clients too. Is that accurate?
Sort of, yeah, if we need to. Yes, if we need to. It depends. I would say that like I run the Facebook ads somewhat, like I oversee, but then when it comes to, I always think, is this something I should be spending my time on? I think that's like an important question to ask yourself. Is this something I could train my person that works for me to do and that I should not be spending my time on? So like even optimizing the ads, she runs the reports and optimizes it, but every week I go through it and go, here's what we need to shift, here's what we need to do. It's hard, and eventually, maybe we'll turn that over too, but sometimes you're really good at what you do, and one of the things I'm really good at is knowing how to optimize the ads. And so I just feel like, but it takes me 10 minutes a week to help optimize. I'm not saying that's all I spend on my clients, but to do that optimization piece and show them how, what they should be doing to optimize. So, we do have them help clients as well, but I'm that direct contact still.
I love that question about, is this how I should be spending my time, right? I always think about is this the highest and best use of my time right now? Because if I can find somebody to do the same thing for less money, less energy, less effort, where I could be focused on something a little bit up the scale, that's a win, right? That's Scotty, when you say that's kind of the exact definition of time duplication, play to your strengths or play to the area you love and figure out how to hire or cover the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to work to your strengths. Time duplication is, duplicating yourself. And when you said earlier that your VAs are becoming smarter than you, well, that's the perfect formula. Not only doing the work for you, they're doing it better than you. And the more you get of those, the more successful you can become, because you've now got more Janets doing the same thing, if not better. That's why all successful people understand time duplication.
And use it well. Hey, one last point on this time duplication thing. I know you use a product called Loom to communicate with these folks, right? A service called Loom. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh. Yeah, I use Loom all day long. Zoom and Loom. That's like my life. Zoom and Loom. So yeah, I do with all my clients, with everything I do. I just Loom. So I don't make them work at the one gal, the Facebook ad gal, does work at the same time as me, but otherwise they don't have to, because I just Loom everything, and I don't write much down anymore. I'm like, okay, I start typing something out, I'm like, why am I doing this? So it shortens my time by about a fourth, just by quick doing a Loom video showing them. We're rebuilding the website right now, and all I do is go through and go, here, change this, change this, change this, and it takes me like 5 minutes. Instead, it would take me an hour to write out all those changes. So I love Loom. If you saw just the amount of them I did today alone, it's probably like 20. It's crazy.
For those that don't know, tell people what Loom is specifically so they have an idea of how you're using it.
Yeah, it's just a screen share grabber. So basically you're grabbing your screen, they can hear you talk. It's exactly like this, but you're sharing your screen. You could be on camera. When I do Looms, I do not go on camera, But bottom line is I'm just showing the screen and exactly what's happening. It's a great way to communicate with my clients. It's a great way to communicate with my team. It just works extremely well. And then, I think a lot of, like, for instance, agencies that run Facebook ads for people, or any type of ads, or, manage accounts, they end up just throwing a report at them once a month, and they're like, what is even going on? I actually show people exactly what's happening with their ads, and I walk them through everything. I've showed it so much before that people have been able to learn on their own and just go off and, be able to figure it out themselves because of how much I show them. And I'm never afraid of that. But I think just the communication is so huge with working with clients, and you should, Loom is a great tool to be more personable as well. I mean, if you're on camera, it probably would be even more personable, but my goal is to show them the screen, so I don't need to be on those.
That makes total sense. Well, I love that. And again, I knew Carlos had been around a long time. I didn't know he was over a decade, and that's a great testament to be able to keep somebody engaged for that long. And that doesn't surprise me with you by any stretch of the imagination. You're always doing cool, challenging things, and you're very, very kind.
Well, and the last one I just brought on about a month ago is a closer. So, like we just talked about, bringing somebody that's better than you. I am not a great closer. I'm like, do you want to do it or not? Like, that's how I am with closing. I just don't want to be pushy. I'm like, okay, if you don't want to do it, fine. And so yeah, I hired a close. He's working his way into closing sales for me because I know there's people out there better than me at closing for sure. So.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, Patricia, when you say you use shorthand to take notes, I'm like, are you talking old school, like writing it down on a pad of paper, which is great? Or is there an app called shorthand that we don't, or I don't anyway, know about? So I'd love to see a follow-up comment on that. I know for me, anytime I start writing notes, I'm like, man, if I don't copy these down immediately and type them up, if I wait a week, I won't be able to read it. I'll have no idea because I'm always writing faster than I can. My handwriting was bad to begin with, but when you're in a hurry, it's brutal. I've been working with Scotty for a couple of, probably a month or so, and we'll have hour-and-a-half long sessions. I'll fill up 4 or 5 pages of notes, and then I'm like, I know I want to go to bed because it's 1:30 in the morning because we're on very different time zones being in Detroit and Australia. But if I don't type these things up, they're going to be nonsense tomorrow, man. So I love
I'm
that.
with you. I do old school stuff too. Every person, I mean, it's hard to not take notes on things. So I write things down too. But yeah, see, exactly. I got my notepads over here. Yeah, I mean, we're a little older, so I guess, that maybe it ages us. I don't know.
It's not old school. It's our school, right? That's just how we are.
The benefit of writing is it crystallizes your thoughts. That's the benefit of writing it down. Even if it's scribble or a mud map, as I call it. Mud mapping, it's okay, because it's crystallizing your thoughts. And hey, Patricia just came back and she said, Pitman's, yes, no app, unfortunately.
I feel you. Thank you, Patricia. Yeah, I love it. That is good. You know what? That crystallizes your thoughts, right? The process creates new neural pathways, right? So not only are you thinking it or talking about it, but when you're writing it down, it's a totally different modality. So it really does crystallize your thoughts in your brain because of the additional input. So that's a great point, Scotty. It's a great point. All right, Janet E. Johnson, let's talk content. How do you repurpose content? And I said earlier that before you even start making content, do you actually plan out, hey, how am I going to use this on this platform, in this platform, and how am I going to make it long and then break it down into shorter clips? Are you that thoughtful about it?
No, because I already have my systems. I had to think about it in the first place, but now I already have my systems in place, and I know once I create that video, I hand it to Joanne and she takes care of the rest. But okay, let's go backwards a little bit. And sure, we of course have systems we do have to think about where we're going to post all this content. But So now I do a video every week, and it's mainly my main focus in my head is Instagram, because we talked about this before. Instagram's my place. So I really think hard about Instagram, but I also think about my email list. So this is what people forget a lot about. Oh God, I got to be on every social media site possible. But then then I'm like, what are you doing with your email list? Oh yeah, I haven't talked to them in like months. I'm like, what? You crazy. So anyway, there, note to self, you guys, do an email list and make sure you're communicating with them. And we could do a whole conversation about that. But bottom line is, you want to think about where. So I do this video. So I'll just tell you where my video goes. It is a square version. We use Clipscribe to edit it. So if you've never heard of it, it's pretty cool. Puts the captions across the bottom, puts a headline across the top. If you go to my Instagram, which is Janet E. Johnson, you'll see a bunch of them. So you can't miss it if you go to Janet E. Johnson Instagram. And then we post that on YouTube. So she has to do a different format for YouTube as well. And YouTube is I don't really care too much about that. So down the road I will, but it just hasn't been a focus. The square version does work on both Facebook and Instagram, and sorry, not both, but all three, LinkedIn as well. We are converting over on Instagram to every video is now going to be tall, and we're going to be doing that as a Reels. So we're switching that up, because Reels I did a post, Reels. I just did a quick one a couple weeks ago, and it got 2,500 views. And my normal views on a normal feed video is maybe 200. So crazy difference. So we need to switch to Reels. There's another tip for you guys if you're on Instagram and focusing there. Then we also put this. Here's the important piece. I put this in my Facebook group. It probably goes other places too. Oh, and it also gets stripped out the audio, and we put it on the podcast every week as well. So she strips out the audio, and it's a podcast. Then it's also in my Facebook group. But what I do is I send out an email every single week that takes the email, and I talk about my new video is up. And I link it to my Facebook group, that they have to become a member of the Facebook group in order to watch the video. Because I build funnels, I have sales funnels that lead to the group. My goal is everything funnels into my group, my Facebook group. This is a Facebook group. I know there's LinkedIn ones too. So, and it's a free group that I do a lot of lives and a lot of engagement in. So that's where everything funnels. So every week we do an email to that and the same video. Then I also sometimes even take it a step further, where I will create a blog post around it. I will create different things. Maybe even I might do my Facebook Live, a longer expanded version, because my videos are super short. They're like a minute long, and do an expanded version like a live but so we talk about that same topic over and over and over again. So that's kind of the process with our video marketing. And that's really all my marketing is videos. I mean, that's all I really do now. I mean, there's other things, but I'm just saying that's my main focal point, and then we just spread that out.
I love that. And videos still, I mean, I remember we had Vincent Landino back in 2016 or something like that, talking about his visit to Facebook. And he said, Facebook is anticipating that by 2018, that 70% of all content on Facebook will be video. They were gearing up for it back then. So, it's funny to talk to people in 2022 that still aren't doing it, right? We've been hammering people. We had Tom Lawrence on the show, probably 2016, 2017. Today, he just hit 250,000 YouTube subscribers. That's a nice check every day. That's a nice check. He's got 1 million unique viewers in the last 90 days. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really cool. He's really focused in on YouTube. And see, they're just such different platforms that you got to hone in and focus, which one are you going to focus on? And that's another topic. But, where time management, you can't do it all. We all think, oh, we have to be in all. But I tell people, pick your top two, and mine's Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn is, and YouTube are the secondary ones, I'd say. But now I do want to mention, that there's another layer that's pretty cool that I do with my videos too. So I should bring this up because a lot of people are unaware of this. So we put ad money towards some of those videos, not all, but my best ones. We put ad money to it, targeting my audience. My audience, typically coaches, consultants, course creators, and we then get these video views. And with those video views, we take a conversion ad and we retarget the video viewers. So meaning these are people that have watched you already. You build up that know, like, and trust factor with video, and then you want to convert them to something, to maybe join my email list, to potentially have a call with me or something like that. You put that in front of the video viewers. So that's kind of how we bring that into the ads world as well.
That's such a great plan, right? You've already touched them, but you didn't necessarily ask them for anything, right? So now that conversion ad's kind of that subtle ask, hey, you already know me, come along a little bit more and see what happens next. I love that strategy. And you mentioned you basically laughed at me when I asked you the original question. You're like, I already have all my systems in place, Terry. Get out of here with that nonsense. But how long did it take you to kind of conceive and create that system in the first place? And then for this whole idea of repurposing your content, what would you suggest that somebody that's like, holy crap, why haven't I thought about this? What would you suggest as a process for them to follow? What did you follow?
I think what people need to do is figure out where are they focusing, and like maybe even make a list. Okay, this is my top focus. Like maybe it's Instagram, or mine, for instance. I mentioned my group. Okay, so my group might be my top, well, actually, email list is even better. But email list, group, Instagram. Then I go down the list. Now, I will say I'm failing lately at the blog part. So the blog part should be a part of this. We have bring it in the podcast, which is great, but not the blog part is I used to be great with the blogging, but somehow that got skipped. So is a blog yours? So maybe you start with a blog and you could break that up to a whole bunch of pieces. A big major blog post. If you write 10 tips to blank, or we could talk about the book, 5 Systems of Successful People. You have 5 points right there. Right there, you have 5 videos to create and 5 pieces you could break down. And then each of those pieces you could break down into more content and more content. So, it's just like, yeah, it goes multiple layers. So you want to think of where your top focus is and make sure you keep bringing that in.
Every once in a while, I'll do a video or I'll write a blog post and I'll say something, write something in a way that I'm like, wow, who came up with that? That's brilliant. And then I'll copy it and I'll make a little image, right? That's kind of a branded image. And I'll use that as a meme, whether it's, on LinkedIn or Facebook or even Instagram sometimes. It's so cool. And Canva, you mentioned that earlier, has done such a great job of making virtually anyone look like they know how to design, right? Scotty, you and I were talking about you basically use some Canva stuff to create some of the graphics in your book, right?
Yeah, I did. I've got a lot of old school stuff. I've used to use Photoshop, but I'm not a graphic designer. So Canva's come up with some nice, easy ways for me to drag and drop. So why should I go and learn something I don't need to learn when someone else has already done that hard work for me? So Canva has been really good. And the reason why they, I guess, got so much traction was because Photoshop had become so expensive that everyone went, well, Canva, I'll just subscribe. Yes, their business model was perfect timing. Probably shouldn't have worked. It did. It works so well. So
it does. Fun fact, I tell Terry this, before Terry was a podcast partner with me, my second interview ever with my podcast was the CEO of Canva way back when. My claim to fame. There you go. I'm just kidding.
That was like the highlight of her career.
I wish I had her money too, but
yeah, no kidding.
Well, she did a lot of right things.
Money duplication.
Yeah, a lot of right things. She did it so well.
She did.
Yeah.
I had to make a handout for a training I'm doing tomorrow, And I sat there thinking, oh my God, this handout, what am I going to do? And I went into Canva, I typed in handout into the template section. I was like, oh, I like that one. And then I filled in a couple of blocks of content, and 20 minutes later, 40 minutes later, I was done. Right. I spent more time fretting about doing the handout than actually doing the handout. So thanks, Canva. We can send the sponsorship check to Scotty.
Yeah, exactly.
That
We're
would be
the
great.
infomercial for Canva, exactly. But you know what? It is time duplication, because Canva does save you, like you said, so much time. And yeah. So it's definitely, most people don't have a graphic designer like I do on staff.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, I love what you said in terms of how do you first off think about who your audience is, right? And where you want to play. That's step one. Think about the type of content they need to receive. If it's video, it becomes, kind of quick, whether you're doing the selfie video or sitting on the laptop. And heck, I've recorded on Zoom before and then downloaded that video and uploaded it and repurposed it and thrown the bumpers on front and back. And then, figure out the important pieces of content. I always like the idea, highlight a sentence and make a meme or a graphic with that, whether it's got your image or a gorgeous seascape, whatever the case may be. But if you're doing a 3-minute video, boy, you can come up with 7 or 8 different pieces of content out of that in a heartbeat. Right. And so I think that's a good process and a good system to follow. So thank you for that, Janet E. Johnson.
So I guess the one big point is do video.
Do video.
We're pushing
Right.
video again. Yep. Video. I mean, I think it's today's world, and it was since, like we talked about, 2015, 16, it's not going anywhere. So now it is about the shorter video, though. So that's one thing that people need to start embracing, is the super quick, to the point, short video. And people have a hard time with that, but the TikTok world is here.
Well, and so the other side of that is that you mentioned is the captions thing. And so if you can find a tool like Clips on iPhone, I don't think they make Clips for Android still. I haven't looked for a minute though. That does the auto-generated caption. That's such a beautiful thing, because there's a lot of times people will hit your video, and if the sound comes on and they're in their office, they don't go, where's the mute button? They just hit the X on the video, right? And then you've kind of lost them, because the sound freaks people out. They're like, oh my God, people know I'm watching a video. It could be like the perfect video that answers the question that they were asking to do their job better, but they still flip out because people are like, oh, they're just sitting around watching videos. It's a weird thing. So those captions are a good tip. Have there been any other caption tools that you've come across that you use?
The one I mentioned to you is Clipscribe.
Clipscribe.
Okay. It's like $8-9 a month, and love it. I use it for every ad that I do too. So there's another tip. Like every client that I have, everything we do, we put in through Clipscribe, because it makes it like a meme style as well, with like a headline that grabs people's attention at the top, and then the captions at the bottom. It's a pretty cool tool, and you can change the sizing. So so I record all my videos through Zoom. I have like actually it's not on fanciness right now because the background's not blurred, but I have like this fancy computer camera that I got because I was like, well, don't want to buy a DSLR, and I do all my stuff on my computer, but I do it right through Zoom. And then once again, I taught my people how to use Clipscribe. So I hand them the raw video, they go edit it in Clipscribe and get it posted.
Still not available on the Android. There's the second reason I might think of getting an iPhone.
Clipscribe's have one on your computer, so it should be.
Oh, it's on your computer. Okay.
It's on your computer. It's a software. Mm-hmm.
When I said Clips, Clips is a iPhone tool that does the auto generated, and so that's really cool for people that are using.
We're the cool ones. Sorry.
I don't think that's how it works, Janet E. Johnson. I think it's just the opposite of that. But we'll save that for a different conversation.
So does my son. So you got a couple on your side.
Yes. Way to go. All right. So let's talk about point 3. How do you know what processes to automate, right? When you're looking at it and going, man, there's got to be a better way. And then what's the process for automating the process, if that's a question I can ask?
That's a tough one. I will say that I don't do a ton of, it's hard to automate certain things. So for instance, email marketing, you set up your email sequence, and of course that's automated. So those things go on auto drive. But for instance, like if I think about running Facebook ads for somebody, there's no automation there just isn't. There's tools, but there's not automation. So
it's Janet-omation?
Yeah, exactly. Or VA-omation, or whatever. But the bottom line is, it's there are some cool tools out there for stuff like that, but automation's a tough thing. I think sometimes people want to automate too much sometimes as well, and that's why like Instagram forced people to do reels by uploading it manually to their phone, and they blocked everybody from being able to automate, make it automated. So there's a time and place for automation, and there's a time and place for not having the automation. But I think repeating things over and over and over again, pre-setting things on a calendar is super, super important, and preparing ahead of time. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of what I really now I use every tool in the book. There's so many tools out there. My biggest overhead in my entire business is all the softwares that I own. So I have a lot of them, that help. So we have like an automation tool we send out automatic reports to clients for the Facebook ads. That's all automated. You put them in once, so you have to do the front end work, but it makes it simpler down the road where it's automated monthly reporting. But yeah, so that's kind of all we do. But some things, I think some things can absolutely, you want to think once again, can this be automated, or should I automate it as well?
Yes, should I automate it? So let's ask this. One of the I don't know about older, but Hootsuite's been around for well over a decade at this point. So the idea of scheduling your posts out in advance, that's a form of automation. Do you use a scheduling tool for your social media?
We do. We have the agency level of Agora Pulse, so it's similar to Sprout Social. I always joke it's like the Mercedes-Benz of the versus Hootsuite was like the Chevy. So
Okay.
We do have a high level one that you can do a lot of things with, and you can see that all the inboxes of every platform within it. So it's kind of cool to, be able to respond in one platform. So that's a really cool software that we use, but none of it's really truly automated, if that makes sense. The only thing that's really automated is you can send out reports at X times and, automate the reports being sent out.
Yeah, but so I guess that's an interesting question, right? There's probably full automation and semi-automation.
Yeah.
So the idea of, hey, I'm going to schedule this month's calendar of content. I'm going to have to sit down for 3 hours to do it. But to your point earlier, it's more work on the front end. But if it's done, there's really no back end other than, hey, I got to go respond to the people. Pro tip, folks, if people are commenting, please respond to them on your social feeds, right? That's an important way to engage folks. But I like that idea of automating, but I don't know whether or not the platforms like that idea of automating as much. They've
kind of gotten less strict. They used to say the algorithm would lower, if you sent it through one of those softwares, but not really anymore, except for, like I said, the reels and, maybe some other things, that few items that you cannot use those softwares for that. So they try to block it.
If there was an area of your business that you could automate, what would it be?
Me.
I need a bionic Janet to go, please.
Can I just have somebody else sit at the computer all day long?
Got like rollerblading and
and
stuff
be
to
on
do.
Zoom all day. And
That's amazing.
uh,
That's
that was a
amazing.
great question. I don't know. That's a toughie. That's a toughie. That's a good one.
I think about, like, from my perspective, the things that I dread doing, right? I'm either that I know I'm not good at that needs to be done, or the things that I know are just time consuming and boring, right?
Well, I
Like,
got one for you then.
okay,
Jasper. I
Jasper,
use, yes, it's an AI copywriting platform. So it used
really?
to be Jarvis, and we do have we pay for Jasper as well. It's a software, and if you put in words, it will write a whole blog post for you. You have to edit it and stuff like that, but it does. It can do Facebook ads. It can do. We use this platform. It's now. So look it up. It's called Jasper. It's pretty cool. It's content AI, so it's all AI programming. But that's like my least favorite. I would rather be on video all day than to write, but I know copywriting is so important in my space. I mean, in all of our spaces, writing. That's why we have not accomplished. I have not accomplished a book yet because I talked about it a million times, and I could do these videos all day long. So I should just repurpose all the videos into a book. There you go. But
There you go.
because yeah, so that's another thing. You just brought that up to me. That's one that really could save a lot of time for people and automate. Is the writing piece is tough, and so Jasper's a pretty cool tool too.
Well, and we've already got the book named, right? We've done that part, but you gotta actually put the words on the paper. That's fun. That's fun. Actually, now I
Someday.
think about it, there's a whole folder, right? There's in Google Drive somewhere. Or no, it was Trello? Maybe Trello.
Oh, you're right. It is in our Trello board.
That's,
Yes.
I haven't, not
That's
sure I
great.
have Trello
That was a
on this
couple of years
phone.
ago. I know. Well, and the one reason I have held back, I can't write a book about it, Facebook ads. It would last like 5 minutes.
No, right.
It
It's
gets
already
outdated
done.
too fast. So that's kind
Yeah.
of social media has been my space. So it's been really hard to go move forward on putting any book into place with that space. So
And so
the
people
one
say,
we
are you
talked
going
about was a different topic for sure.
That's for sure. People ask me all the time, are you going to build a presentation deck? And I'm like, no chance. Not to come in and talk about LinkedIn. The moment I make a deck, they're going to change how it looks, right? It's a given. The only way to keep it the same way is for me to not make a deck. I'm doing you all a favor, people, helping you. So yeah, that's good stuff. All right. Well, Janet E. Johnson, I think this is great. Scotty, what questions do you have? What thoughts has this spun up in your mind?
Oh, look, it's so good to see someone practicing time duplication in their own way, right? And it is the one thing every successful person understands. They duplicate themselves, which you spoke about. They duplicate their products, which you spoke about, and they duplicate their money. Now, I'm not sure what you're doing on that side, but the point is that's the one thing every successful person understands. Now, some people get to duplicate one of those, a few get to duplicate two, and very few actually get to duplicate all three in a successful way. But if it becomes your mindset and your system over a period of like 5 or 10 years towards your goals, it'll set you up for whatever it is that you want. That's a fact. It's a fact. So when there's more than you doing all the work, your products are getting repeated over and over again without having to recreate them, and you're making money while you sleep. How's that for a perfect formula,
I
right?
think this is great.
So,
Scotty,
hey,
what question?
one thing that we had as a slogan one thing we had on a slogan at Renet, so the company I started was, and time duplication wasn't something I thought about now. It's something I started a company with over 20 years ago. The slogan was 2 minutes in and you get 100 minutes back for free. So it wasn't a button you pressed, or it was like, what's the 100 minutes for free? What's the so what of the software product? I put a name in a database. So what? What's the 100 minutes a client gets back for free? We need to be able to A, do that, and B, show that there's the value in the software for clients. And that's more or less what you were saying before. So what's the 100 minutes back for free? How do you prioritize what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing? Well, if this 2 minutes is going to give me 100 minutes back for free, that's something that's worth doing. If it's not, then you've got to ask yourself whether
Mm.
someone else could be doing it instead of you. But then again, it depends. Because when it comes to closing sales, which you said you've delegated, which is fine, that's something I'd never
I still
delegate.
do it, but I'm working on my way out.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't delegate that because I want that client for longer. Then I would delegate, okay, someone else do the onboarding or someone else do this and that. But it depends on, you're correct though. You're working with your strengths. Does that make sense? So that's
Yeah.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, so what's the 2 minutes in and the 100 minutes back for free that clients are getting? It's the so what question. Okay, so we do this, so what? What's that 100 minutes back for free? And like I said, it was a motto and a slogan and a complete system in the development process of everything in ReNet.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
page 68 in the book. Page
I love
68.
it.
And that's just
Good
one
memory.
part of the book.
Good memory on you. I like that. Now I got
Actually, I'm starting to remember more and more of all the pages. I wrote it all, and every now and then I go, I know it's here, I know it's about there, and I go, that's it.
I'm fact checking Scotty as we speak.
Oh
just
yeah,
for the
yeah.
record.
See,
I'm
now
gonna put a
Terry
little
is one of those
disclaimer
that
up
has.
here, like Facebook, if it's wrong. But
Every time
here
I
we
talk to
are,
Terry,
page
you've got the notes,
68.
the numbers. See, he's got
Yep.
everything. Terry will remember this like this. My mind doesn't work that way.
Scotty's
That's
got it
funny.
nailed, man. It's the bottom third of page 68. 2 minutes in.
That's it.
great.
2 minutes in,
100
100 minutes back for free. And
That's it.
the training sessions I did, I'd sit there with the real estate agents, and these were people making $1 million a year, and go, this is what ReNet does for you. You're not putting names in a database or photos in a database. You're putting it in because you get 100 minutes back for free. And if you want to be even more successful than you are now, I'll show you how to do that without having to work more. Just work smarter. And that's what the ReNet software did. And that's why it was successful, because I could demonstrate that 100 minutes back for free. So time duplication was not an accident. It was a deliberate action and intention of the company I started, the company I created, how I trained it, how I delivered it, and how we succeeded. And it's the one thing guaranteed that every successful person does. You give me a successful person that hasn't done those three, you just can't find them. They all have. Either 1, 2, or 3 of them. They've done it.
That makes total sense. And that's why we had Janet E. Johnson on the show, because she's done them. She does them every day. She's still doing them. She's going to do them tomorrow too. Gosh darn it. Janet E. Johnson, tell us, where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about you, and how to get involved in your world? What's that Facebook group you were talking about? Do you have a podcast? I heard you had a podcast. I heard something about your partner.
No. Well, there's janetjohnson.com is the easiest, but I don't talk about my group there. So I should, but I don't. So the group is called Social Strategies for Conversion. So it's just social. If you look that up, Social Strategies for Conversion, you'll find it. And within Facebook, just do the search. And then janetjohnson.com also has right at the top, and you will get emailed if you sign up for my benchmarks cheat sheet. That's my giveaway for signing up with me to learn more about Facebook ads. It's the benchmarks that you should know when you're running your Facebook ads, like how much should you be paying per click, per lead, that kind of thing. We give you that cheat sheet. So you can go grab that on my website. And then last but not least, we have our podcast called Business Growth Time. You easily find that at businessgrowthtime.com.
That's a good show too. You thank God you're there to carry the show, but it's still, we have a lot of fun. That's and provide a lot of value. I feel like we do. We're gonna get Scotty on as a guest. We're gonna turn the table around on him a little bit too. So I'll get him the link. We'll have to figure out a convenient time with his Australian clock. Can't wait.
Oh yeah.
Although
yeah.
Scotty
I know.
is
I have
it
clients in New
9:51
Zealand.
a.m. right now in your world?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm normally surfing now, so this is a special treat. We're running these at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, 9:51 a.m. Okay.
It's a special treat for everyone that for Terry, I've been going, okay, we're doing it 9 o'clock in the morning because it's 7 p.m. your time. So let's just run with it, right?
Yeah. Because
I'm an hour
otherwise,
earlier than him, so I was 6. Yeah. So yeah.
You're an hour earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you're further towards the New York side, is that right?
I'm the other
Other
way.
way.
I'm in Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay. All right.
She's
Mhm.
farther west.
Yeah.
Oh, you're more
Yep.
the Californian side of America.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
got it.
I
Yep.
actually, yeah, Detroit. I know where that is. Yeah. So
I'm
you're
straight in the middle, basically. Yeah.
yeah.
Right under Canada. Yep.
Right at the top. There, she's way above me, man. We talk about
I always
people
have to tell
complain
people
about it.
Mall of America. It's like people know Mall of America for some odd reason, and to us, it's like big deal, but it's right there. So
It's a big deal.
But Janet,
people
hey,
in
look, it's been
Detroit-
so good to hear your story. And Terry said we've got to get Janet on, right? And I said, yes, sweet. And it's been so good to witness it and hear what you're saying. So, time duplication works. It's a fact. This is why I think the book's been so popular, because the 5 systems work. There's no order to the systems. You don't have to do system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. That you actually can work with them concurrently, separately, individually. Makes no difference. But time duplication is proving to be the most popular chapter.
interesting.
It's the most popular chapter. The most intriguing one is sugar and cream. Most people go, well, what's that? Well, you have to read the book. But anyway.
Now that's interesting.
We're going to talk about sugar and cream next week. So I'm going a little bit out of order. I'm going a little rogue on you, Scotty. The guy I wanted to do sugar and cream isn't available on the 5th week. So we're going to have him next week, and we'll do the business of thirds. Maybe we'll end up doing the business of thirds 4th, and then we'll do the rule of 100 last, because that's how we roll sometimes, man.
Well, Scotty said it doesn't have to be in order, correct? It does not have to be in order. It doesn't matter.
No,
there's no proof.
There's no specific order.
People there is order.
Yeah, and there's no system that's more important than the others. And in fact, the business judo and time duplication actually takes some work. You've actually got to do something. The business of thirds and the rule of 100 just exist. You don't have to do anything except know they exist and put them into your systems, into your business. They just exist. And the sugar and cream is as much as an attitude as it is anything else. So, so that's why there's no order to it. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 systems. Implement them together, concurrently, separately. Yeah, makes no difference. But they all work.
I have to ask, the systems, what's the behind you? There's a pyramid behind you. Yeah. Is that part of the...
Scotty's in a multi-level marketing thing that we're going to tell you about Amway here in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's actually a triangle. So that's that. Just quickly, and or else I'll be going for an hour now. Well, they're not on a tangent.
Okay, yeah. You got to be the big screen though. Make yourself big.
Yeah, make myself big. I better fix that up. Yeah. But hey, so the 1 is that's the 1, that's the 3, that's the 5, that's the 7, and it's surrounded by the success triangle, which is it's an equilateral triangle because it's the balance of sales, business, and leadership in business that makes business work. And each one of those, you can do sales 1, 3, 5, 7, business 1, 3, 5, 7, or leadership 1, 3, 5, 7. So they all work. And when I ask most people what their sales system is, or what their business system is, or what their leadership system is, most people don't have an answer. Well, here's one for you. So people first, conditions, actions, needs. There's the 5 systems of successful people. And there's the 7 ways you'll maximize time. So when you put that into sales, business, or leadership, that's what the system 1, 3, 5, 7 is. And most people don't have a system. What's your sales system? Well, I handle emails and I talk to them and I'm smiling a lot. Well, that's not really a system. What's your leadership system? How are you developing your people? Well, I'm nice to them. It's not really a system either, right? So, and that's why I realized in the last 4 years, I retired early at 46. And when I was talking in front of people, I realized that they just didn't have a system of their own or a system to follow. And I don't mind if you get that and make it your own. Go for it. But I can tell you a system in your business, whether it's a small or a big system, will work. All systems work.
I agree. I think the number one thing I've talked to Terry about even is systems. If you don't have that in place, then it's messy. Yeah. It's messy, and you're running your business very messy. So I love it that you have that all put together. That's cool. Very cool.
And it works, 100% works. Anyone who follows that system will get a result. And if you don't have one of your own, well, look, there's one to follow. And Terry's becoming a certified coach, and he's going to start sharing it with people. across the world, because more and more people are going, well, I can do that. I put people first. How do you do that? Well, that's where Terry comes in. Conditions, actions, needs. What are they? All right, well, that's where the certified coaches will come in. They'll help you do that and get that clarity yourself so you can go on and be the best you.
Love it. Love it. Well, once he's a certified coach, he'll have to teach it on our podcast.
Make it up. You know me. I'll make it up right now. I'm good. Let's go.
You probably would.
I'll teach it tomorrow. I read the book. I did the assignment.
Yeah.
No, it's really good stuff. And Janet, you've known me a long time, right? And I have been a reasonably, let's call it systems averse, and let's be polite about it, right? I am not a process oriented individual, and haven't been. And what I like about what Scotty put together is, even for someone I'm not anti, I'm just not wired that way. It's so easy to follow, and it's so easy to see the value and the benefit from. That's how I was like, I got to do this. This is going to help my business. It's going to help my client's business. It's going to help other people that are similar to me in their business for their clients' businesses. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's just do this. This makes a ton of sense. And Scotty's a cool dude, so that works out well too, as an added bonus. As an added bonus.
With an Australian accent. There you go.
Yeah, well,
Australia.
I do have an Australian accent for a reason.
he earned it.
Yeah, I'm not putting it on for the popularity contest. Unfortunately, I'm Australian, so we like our beer and water here, whereas you guys say beer and water. So But anyway, it's all good. Hey, listen, we'll have to start wrapping up. I think we're nearly an hour, so we wrap up before now. But hey, look, the only reason why we're still talking is because it's a perfect conversation. And like I said, time duplication is proving the one system that's the most popular. It's the one system everyone wants to achieve. Duplicating themselves, duplicating their products, and duplicating their money. And it does take some work. It's not a magic, carpet ride or a silver bullet just because you know the term now. No, you still have to go out and actually make that system work. It has to become part of your DNA. And if you do that year on year on year on year, and I show the graphs in the book, what it can do over 10 years with you financially, but just adding a little bit more every year into duplicatable income, for example. So, it's a system that everyone wants to achieve. So once again, Janet, it's been so good to have you on talking about time duplication in your own words, and you're doing it. And Terry straight away said, we've got to get you on. So I'm so pleased you came on and were talking about it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We learned from each other, and hopefully the audience, I would assume the audience had some takeaways. I always say at the end of every time I'm on any podcast, anything, just take action on something that you learned. The biggest thing people do is listen to these things and then, don't do anything about it. Take action. Even if it's one piece of what you just listened to, go take action on it.
That's it. So if you said, listen, there's the one thing that I need you to do or want you to do or think would help you, what do you have, just one all encompassing, aside from take action, which is great?
I think the piece that we talked about the most was the duplicating of your content and just really thinking about how can you repurpose that one piece of content, because so many people are focusing on being multi-channeled on all these things, and the squirrels come along and they're too busy posting, too busy doing blogs, too busy doing this than to even run their own business. So if you can just repurpose, think about everything you're doing to repurpose it.
And I love that answer. And I will say, for me, it's find the one thing that somebody does way better than you and outsource that. Bring somebody else in that's got the skill and, come up with a process to manage them and get them to the point where you can send them a title and they can write the whole post themselves. I love that. I love that piece. So that was my key takeaway, Janet. So thank you for that. And Scotty, did you catch one, or you want to be like, hey, quick, we got to hand this thing right now? We hit the hour mark.
We just ticked over an hour, so it's probably important that we do end it, because I could talk all day, And
I know we could.
we can
Yeah.
keep
I
going and
have
going
Top
and
Gun
going.
to get to, just so you know. Just kidding.
Oh
But
yeah,
I think there's
you
been
do.
enough with what
This
Janet
was
said,
great.
what
Mhm.
you've said, and I think people have got the story and the message. And if they want to learn more, they can go and join your group. If they want to learn more, they can go into System 1357 and watch some videos. Hey, it's free. If they want to really learn, look, for $25, it'll be the best $25 you've ever spent. You know, it's about a 2 hour read, really easy for you to adapt those systems and put them into your business. And, it's there so you can be successful too. That's the whole point. But listen,
Love
mate,
it.
it's up to you, Terry. But I'm happy just to say thanks
Love
everyone for
it.
coming,
Yeah.
and
No, thank you for having me on.
and really do appreciate you being here, Janet. And yeah, it'd be a pleasure to be a guest on your podcast too. So
Yeah, it'd
that'd
be fun. I
yeah, that'd be
appreciate it.
fun. Otherwise, look, let's any final words. Otherwise, we'll thank everyone for coming and we'll wrap up.
I am good. Thank
All
you.
right, all right, everyone. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for being a part of the System 1357 series with Terry Bean, talking about the 5 systems. Looking forward to the next one, which is sugar and cream next week. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Strive for healthy, wealthy, and wise. And see you later.
Thank you.